Welcome in to another edition of Steve on Your Side on 9 News Plus. I'm 9 News consumer investigator Steve Stager, alongside consumer producer Anna Houston. We're on I-25, everybody's favorite highway, and we're heading onto C-470, which, if you haven't been on C-470 in a while, you may not know that there's a toll lane there. It's been there for a few years. What really started piquing our interest in the toll lanes are these tickets that people have started to get for weaving in and out of the double white lines into the toll lane. We're actually entering what we've found through our research. You want to go this way? Yep. Okay. And then see how confusing this is, because on one side you don't take the toll lane. So if you were to stay in the right lane, you don't take the toll lane. On the other side, you do.
So I take it here?
Take it here,
Ooh,
yep.
Okay, wow, that was a fast
almost got a ticket. That would be quite an expense report. Oh, there's a little camera that tracks.
The first thing that's marking that we are entering the express lane.
Yep, and that camera is actually tracking to see. It now has a picture of your car in the toll lane, and we're going to come upon another camera, because see, now we're getting over. There's double white lines here. We're going to come upon another one of these cameras. In fact, they're over there. They're on the other side of the road. They'll snap a picture of your car. And if you're outside the toll lane, you get a $75 ticket. So we started getting all these emails about this and people saying, like, this seems like a really high fine. I was curious how many tickets the state had written. They started the program late in 2023, and the number that we found in 9 months was huge. The rules of the road seemed clear to Lisa Rife.
They've said over and over again, you can't cross a double solid line. So I know I don't do that. Never, ever, ever do that.
The state has been warning since last summer that if you cross those double white lines into a toll lane, the computer catches you and they'll slap you with a $75 fine. Lisa knew that, says she purposely didn't do it and still opened her mail to find a fine.
And I was like, absolutely shocked.
Actually, multiple fines. The notice said between November and February, Lisa had illegally crossed into the toll lane on C-470 8 separate times. At $75 per violation, that meant she owed $600. Her dash cam shows some of what happened. Instead of crossing a double white line, Lisa crossed a dashed line, essentially entering the toll lane at an exit.
I think it's highway robbery.
Hans Gebhardt says both he and his wife got tickets for violating the toll rules on I-25, rules they didn't realize existed either.
The bill came several months later, so I was like, what's this? It just seems like a way to generate money, and apparently they've generated a lot of money.
This new fine is generating money. Between October, when the state started issuing fines, and this month, Steve on Your Side found Colorado wrote tickets for more than $40 million in fines. More than $40 million in fines assessed in 9 months.
If you run with a $40 million figure out there, I think it would be highly misleading.
Though Tim Hoover with the Colorado Transportation Investment Office doesn't want you to focus on that $40 million number.
There's going to be tickets that we can't collect. And also remember, it can take a while to even collect stuff that we can collect.
He says the state has only been able to collect about 2/3 of it. And at the end of the day, after paying the company that runs the cameras and other costs, they've only netted a little over $16 million. You might be asking what the state might do with $16 million it didn't have before.
Safety improvements, so you're talking about striping improvements, signage improvements, guardrail.
And he says they'll use it to educate the public so they know how to avoid those fines through things like TV ads. Sounds like that outreach can be expensive.
It is with what you guys charge.
I'm not going to comment on what 9 News charges for ads because there's like a wall between the sales department and the news department. We have no idea. But that outreach is really important because for a long time, this was communicated, don't cross the double white line. Right? That's what we heard over and over and over again.
That's what the signs say.
Yeah, and we're in the lane right now. You can see the double white line on our right.
Oh, wait, so I have to be over.
You got to be over, see? But this is where it gets really confusing because people were crossing this single white line here and crossing over that dotted white line and entering into the toll lane, and they were getting a ticket.
I agree with the nature of this weaving law.
Brian Malone hates it when people weave in and out of toll lanes.
I think they should be torpedoed and blasted and vaporized immediately.
Yet he feels like he's been torpedoed over something that's tough to understand.
I'm confused and a little frustrated when I thought that I had been obeying the laws.
At first, Malone thought he slipped.
And I just paid it because I thought, oh, I must have made a mistake. But then I got a second citation and then a third citation right after that.
He crossed into the express lane here on eastbound C470 near Lucin. Each time he did, he got slapped with a ticket.
There needs to be some leeway and a grace period and maybe some more adequate signing, maybe color coding.
Here's why so many people are confused. This spot at Lucin is an exit and has a dotted line on the outside, which would seem to invite traffic to enter. But when they cross that single solid line, poof, a $75 ticket. Steve on Your Side was the first to report the state issued more than $40 million in fines in the first 9 months of enforcement. 4.5% of all Colorado license plates have gotten a toll weaving ticket. Our data shows more than 10,000 drivers have been ticketed at Lucin alone.
Just given the press around, how many violations we've assessed, what we've collected, especially in the 9 News story.
Our story made it to the appointed board of Colorado's Transportation Investment Office.
I've heard from a number of people that there's a confusion about when you can enter and when you can exit.
They talked about that confusion.
It's a little confusing because we say cross the line, meaning,
Sure.
Everybody knows double line, but cross any line really, right?
Yeah. Some of these things are more nuanced and don't make a snappy slogan.
At the meeting, engineers talked about potential changes, including allowing people to enter at Lucin, the same spot where Malone got his tickets. Tickets he's tried to dispute with no luck.
Penalizing people with expensive after-the-fact citations and then giving them no kind of recourse to be able to plead their case with any kind of two-way conversation, I don't believe is the correct solution.
All right, eastbound,
Getting on eastbound
C470.
C470. We were hearing from a ton of people who are very confused about this, right? We're getting on from Santa Fe, you're going over the flyover, and people thought they can go right into the express lane, at the first opportunity. Problem is, there's not an entrance to this express lane for quite a while.
There's just exits.
Only exits. But when you look at those exits, they are marked on the outside with a dotted white line. A whole lane later, like a lane over, is the single white line. Okay, so we're entering 470.
Traffic's slowing down, so I'm thinking, kind of want to get in the express lane.
By the way, in the stories that we've done on this in the past, we've called this Lucent. It is now Kendrick Castillo Way, named after Kendrick Castillo, who lost his life in the STEM school shooting. Okay, so we're getting over, and see, it's all double white lines. And look at the way this lane looks.
So
You've got to,
you
think you could do this, right?
and cross over this line and
Cross
then
o-
cut in.
Yep.
But it's an exit only, and if I go across that line, we're going to get a ticket.
Yep.
Which we cannot afford.
And 9 News is not approved for us to do that.
People are crossing a single white line.
Right.
And then wondering why they're getting a ticket for crossing a double white line.
Because it feels like they're going into an entrance, right? You've got a dotted white line and then that single white line, and they think, oh, I'm fine, I'll be okay. But a lot of people were getting that ticket and saying, I don't understand it. Then they go to try to dispute that ticket, and they're met with this really frustrating process. Then they get the denial. Then they reach out to Steve on Your Side. In one case, we didn't get a solution, but the other case, we did.
Saw a dotted line and thought she could cross over it to get into the express toll.
Stop me if you've heard this one before. Jacob Golter says his wife got a $75 fine along C470 for entering the toll lane in an exit near Lucin. The exit marked with a dotted line on the outside that many drivers tell Steve on Your Side confused the heck out of them.
She drives that road very frequently. She knows the layout. We had never known that you couldn't go in that lane.
When Jacob got that ticket, he tried to dispute it.
She basically said, well, that's just, it is what it is, and you got to pay it, otherwise you pay additional fines.
We were on our way to view our wedding venue.
Allie Groff had a heck of a time disputing her toll weaving ticket, too.
There was an emergency vehicle merging traffic out with the arrows on the back. All they kept saying was that they didn't have a record of it. They didn't have any record of a vehicle being in the express lane that day.
You had a record.
Yeah, exactly.
See, Allie was almost burned by a toll weaving ticket before.
I had gotten a ticket when it was like snowpacked.
In the photo attached to that ticket, you can't even see the lines.
So I disputed it by taking a screenshot off my phone and resubmitting it to them, and then they dismissed it.
So this time, she pulled out her phone and snapped a picture of that emergency vehicle blocking the lane. Anybody listening when you say, hey, I have photo proof something was wrong?
No, they kind of just brushed it off.
38,000 drivers have tried what Allie and Jacob did. They've disputed their tickets through the Colorado Transportation Investment Office's website. Steve on Your Side got our hands on data showing about 8,000 drivers have had their tickets dismissed, about 22%. Why is it so difficult to dispute?
They're able to choose from a list of reasons.
At a recent meeting of the CTIO board, they say they're bound by law. State law says there are technically only 4 reasons they can rip up your ticket. You sold the car before it crossed the line, the car was stolen before it crossed the line, you went bankrupt, or you died. The website does list an other option, but
those are the ones that are the most likely to be denied because they don't fall within those reasons that we are allowed to.
Thank you.
I felt like we were just being sent in circles and being backed into a corner.
CTIO told us they keep a record of crashes and debris, things that might make weaving in and out of toll lanes necessary. But remember, they told Allie they had no record of that truck, clearly in her photo.
And then I reached out to you guys and I told the CTI program that.
She says after mentioning talking to Steve on Your Side, all of a sudden that $75 fine just disappeared.
It is frustrating. It was really confusing.
Oh, you got in at a legal point.
This is a good example of why you would want to use an express lane.
And think about coming back the other way, right? When we came off of I-25, you had to make that choice right away between the express lane or the non-express lane. So think about the people they choose, I'm going to try it in the regular lanes. Then they get over and they run into something like this where there's just wall-to-wall traffic.
But these people who are in that wall-to-wall traffic cannot legally get into this express lane.
No. That's what the rules say.
And it's the safety enforcement program. They're concerned about the safety of us. We're doing 65 miles an hour right now. Those people are not. If they tried to pull in front of me, it would not be good.
Yeah, if they whip in and whip out. Plus, not gonna lie, it's not the coolest thing to watch in the world when somebody whips in and out of the express lane to get around someone.
Nobody likes a weaver.
Nobody likes a weaver. And the state says the program's relatively popular. Not popular to the people who get a ticket. A lot of people have gotten that ticket. We got an odd email not too long ago. It was a voicemail. That's right. It was a voicemail.
We do get phone calls.
From Shirley. By the way, 303-871-1700. Shirley called in and said, my brother-in-law got one of those toll weaving tickets. Problem is, he's been dead for a year and a half before this. And I laugh only because Shirley was laughing and was one of the funniest interviews I've had in a while. Remember that list of stuff you could choose from to dispute a toll ticket? One of them was the vehicle owner is deceased. That's what Shirley did. And she's still bumped into problems.
So she called Steve on Your Side.
And we got things figured out for her.
I just thought it was a stupid mistake.
This is a story about death.
And I thought, this is really kind of funny.
But Shirley Whittam isn't weeping. She's laughing.
I always knew he was a bad driver.
A few weeks back, Shirley got this ticket from the Colorado Transportation Investment Office in the mail. A $75 fine for a red Mercury crossing the double white line on I-25 back in December.
He had incorrectly merged somewhere, and that he had a $75 ticket he needed to take care of.
That's her brother-in-law, Kevin's car. The problem is, Kevin died 18 months before the camera snapped that photo. Shirley and her husband managed his estate.
We decided to go to We Buy Ugly Houses. They took the entire house and contents and car, and we thought everything was done.
It must be some mistake, she thought.
Well, I called, and they told me, well, just send us a copy of the death certificate, which I then did.
From there, she thought common sense would prevail.
That's pretty much the assessment that most normal people, I think, would make, is that death is usually a very difficult time to drive afterwards. It's hard. Your hands slip off the wheel. Things go wrong,
It is, after all, one of the options you can choose to dispute a toll weaving ticket, that the vehicle owner is deceased. But common sense didn't prevail. In fact, the ticket got bigger, $150 now, plus a $30 adjudication fee for requesting an administrative hearing.
I suggested a seance, but it was met with silence.
She sent the death certificate again, this time with a picture of Kevin's ashes. The email she got in return said, "We are so sorry for your loss."
The documentation was not enough.
So Shirley called Steve on Your Side, and we reached out to the state. CTIO tells us now that $180 ticket is dismissed.
It's hard enough when someone dies to take care of all the business you have to take care of, but to make it 10 times worse by constantly telling me I haven't done the right thing. I'm sorry if somebody did that, but I can promise it wasn't my brother-in-law.
So the state said the problem with that was an issue with their contractor not understanding the rules. They're working on refreshing training with the contractors to make sure they all understand the rules with that. There is so much more to talk about with this that we haven't gotten into yet, but it's been about a year since we first started reporting on this. We're still following people who are going through the legal process right now. They got a ticket, they went through the hearing process, they were denied there. They're finding a real frustrating system in the court system trying to get their tickets adjudicated and figured out. So we're following those cases. We need to get an update from the state on how much money they made in a year plus. They've added more of these, right? Some of the lanes they weren't enforcing before, but now they're doing this on US 36, which they weren't doing for a long time.
Southbound I-25 down near Castle Rock.
Through the gap. Yep. So there's a lot more to report on this. Thanks for coming along on our little road trip along the express lanes. It was fun.
I love a good drive.
We spent a little 9 News money, not a lot. We didn't get a ticket, so we're not going to have to pay.
The tolls do add up, though.
They do. We just never see the bill, which is the nice part.
I'd rather get the bill than the ticket.
Yeah, it's true. Hey, in the meantime, if you want to get in touch with us, if you got one of these tickets and you have questions about it, Steve on your side at 9news.com or 303-871-1700. Leave a message like Shirley did. We'll get back to you. For now, I'm Steve Stager. Steve on your side. 9 News.